Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Tuesday, October 7th, just about 4:15 in the afternoon, and this is our daily recap video for our 4 weekly paying Roundhill funds that we cover. The first 3 are 0DTE covered call strategies on the indexes, QDTE for the NASDAQ 100, XDTE for the S&P 500, and RDTE for the Russell 2000. The fourth is slightly different. It's a Bitcoin covered call strategy fund, YBTC, which uses IBIT as their underlying to create a synthetic position and then generate income by selling weekly covered calls. Reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. I let you know when videos are premiering, announcements that were made related to these funds and everything like that. Especially for this video, every day I release the 0DTE trades made for those 3 QDTE, XDTE, and RDTE, in case you are somebody who likes to trade along and get a feel for what the pros are doing, or if you just like to keep up with your investment and you don't even want to wait for the video to come out. But so today's also distribution announcement day, declaration day for YBTC and YETH. Now, I don't cover YETH, but I do cover YBTC. So I'll hit on both of those in just a second. Let's start off by looking at how the market performed today. It started out looking like it was going to be a good day, positive day. Markets starting higher than they closed, but then things took a turn for the worse, ending negative all across the board. That's why you saw all the stock tickers in red on the thumbnail. So the NDX, NASDAQ 100, was down about 0.55%. QDTE just barely outperformed, going down 0.5%. SPX, the S&P 500, was down 0.38%. Again, the Roundhill fund, XDTE, just barely outperformed, only going down 0.32%. The Russell 2000 RUT was down 1.12%. RDTE definitively outperformed in that case, only going down 0.62%. And finally, YBTC, we have to look at IBIT. IBIT was down 3.03%. YBTC is not going to drop as much, only down 1.81. So in all instances, the Roundhill fund outperformed its underlying. In some cases, it was just barely, but for RDTE and YBTC, it was significant. All right, so I did say it is declaration day. So while I don't cover it, we do get questions about it. So YETH, the Roundhill Ether covered call strategy, did announce 36.2350 cents per share. And since we're going to talk about it, let's just take a look at how that compares to their more recent announcements or payments. So 36, a little below last week's 38, 39, 39. So it does seem to be trending downward, but that's just a very quick snapshot. Let's take a look at what YETH has done over that month period. Down about 2.6%, but that actually includes the 4 payments of what, call it an average of 38 cents. So what's that? 76, $1.52, starting at 28.42, ending at 27. So realistically, it's not really down if you consider the fact that they've paid out what they've done. Not doing anything special either, though. YBTC, we do cover that on this video. So their announcement, 37.7594 cents per share. We can compare that on our chart. So their most recent payment was just under 40, and we thought that they were a little low. So the guesstimate that I made on Friday was 42.4389 cents per share. They actually ended up going even lower than their previous. And we can look through, not this is the best way to view everything, but recent payments over the last 6 weeks: 49, 46, 38, 39, 41, and just about 40, 39.9. So this will be the lowest payment in at least 6 weeks. So that did surprise to the downside a little over 12%. Since we're on this page, we'll finish up here. Like we said, today was declaration day. So next October 7th will move over to this category, and October 14th will be the new declaration date. Our synthetic position in IBIT, where we have 47,492 contracts, buying calls and selling puts at the exact same strike, $66.70. They are in the money by 3.5%, which gave them value of about $22 million, but technically that number is based off of where they closed yesterday, because all this value information only comes from the download that comes out late at night. So we do know that this is going to drop, but it will still be positive because IBIT is still $69.13, so it's well above the $66.70. There's $334 million in assets under management, just about 7.5 million outstanding shares, and the NAV at the start of the day around $45, $44.95. Obviously, it dropped nearly 2%. So we're closing around $43.99. I say around because this is an automatic pull through Excel, and it sometimes takes longer, than 20 minutes after markets settle to finalize. The short call sold for this week is expiring on Friday, a strike price of $71.95. That's currently 4+% out of the money, with today's drop to $69.13. So that will decrease immensely in value once that download comes out. And it's looking like they've got a good chance to win that trade. Next, let's move over to our 0 DTEs. We can go ahead and see how their trades performed. First off, QDTE sold 382 calls on NDX with a strike price of $25,090. They collected $19.98 per share, or $763,000. While at first it was looking like that could have been in trouble, it quickly dropped below $25,000 altogether, $24,840. So it doesn't cost anything to settle out, and they get to keep the full $763,000. All right, when we take a look at the holdings page, we had one change in the holdings. The closest to expiration, December 19th of this year, contracts dropped by 9. So it was at 92 and dropped to 83. So that's why I put that there. Everything else unchanged. There's $960 million, so we're pretty close to $1 billion. We just haven't been able to crack it. 27 million outstanding shares. 35.55 was the NAV at the start of the day, dropping 0.5%, ending up higher than that. Doesn't make sense. If you're familiar with this channel, we know that since we only are able to get this information off of their webpage, we have easily found that this has a delay to it. It's not like a daily download like some of the other ETFs where it shows the outstanding shares on it. So we just have to wait for them to update that the number on the website, but obviously it is not correct currently because we can't drop 0.5% and end higher than the value. Tomorrow's declaration for these three funds, 10.8, the guesstimate on this one is 20.5, 20.5 cents. Next, we look at XDTE. They sold 626 calls on SPX with a strike of 6,765, collecting $298 per share, $186,000. SPX closed at 67.14 and change, well below the 67.65. Doesn't cost anything to close out, and so far both of our first two funds are 2 for 2 on the week. They got to keep all $186,000. When we look at their holdings, first thing we noticed, there was an increase. So they bought more of their furthest dated deep in the money calls, December 18th of next year, at $663.60. So that increased from $157 to $174. And so then that allows them to sell more calls since they have more purchased calls. There's $431 million in assets under management, 9,365,000. The NAV at the start of the day, 46.03, and closing price 44.18 after 0.33% drop. Numbers aren't adding up, so once again, we need them to get on the ball about updating their outstanding shares. Tomorrow, declaration day. Most recent declaration, last payment last week was 17.1 cents. My guess was this week they will announce 18.5, so we'll find out tomorrow how far off I was. And last but not least, RDTE. Definitely not least. This one generally pays the highest percentage. They sold 681 calls on the Russell 2000 with a strike price of $2,495, collecting $3.67 per share, or just under $250,000. The Russell 2000 closed at $24.58 and change, well below the $24.95. They didn't have to pay anything to close it out, and they got to keep the full $249,000. So all three funds are 3 for 3. On the start of this week, getting to keep everything that they've all premium collected from selling calls. When we look at their holdings, no changes to their deep in the money calls that they have purchased. $169 million in assets under management, just under 5 million outstanding shares, $34.30 NAV before today's 0.5% decrease, bringing the share price down to $33.71 or very close to it. Most recently, they paid out a crazy high 36.6 cents per share. It was a 56% annual yield, so that's not the kind of payment we're expecting again tomorrow. I guess 26.5, and it would even make sense for it to be lower. But I mean, when they do stuff like that, it kind of swings my guesses a little bit. So, but that's all I've got for you. Appreciate everybody watching the videos. Good luck trading tomorrow, and I'll catch you in the next video.